What is wealth for you?
This generation seems to think that going into debt is okay. Our parents' generation or our grandparents' generation wouldn't have dreamt of going into the level of debt that we go into today so easily.
Advertisers have been getting into our subconscious to tell us we need more and more and more. People have got so much junk now, their garage is full. I have a friend who doesn't have children. He's got 5 plasma televisions. Have a simple life. You don't need all these things. They're not making us happy. But for some silly reason, we've been convinced the more I have, the more successful I am. But have we ever questioned if that's true?
Money and debt became very, very easy to gain, and so people abused it and misused it, and people have gotten into all sorts of strife in relation to debt. Fear and greed are two of the big emotions that get in the way of people really being successful in relation to their financial affairs.
What is wealth? For some people, it's a Ferrari. For some people, it's a $5 million house. Have you ever asked yourself, what is wealth? In our organization, we actually talk about wealth isn't how much money you have. It's actually what you would have with if you were to lose all your money. I look at money as being an energy. It's a flow. There's a flow, a natural flow to money and to money currencies and the way that it flows. And what's beautiful about looking at your relationship with money is often the belief structures that people have about money are given to them from their parents. Often people do not have a loving, nurturing, caring relationship with money.
People sometimes think that money's something dirty. You know, they think, oh, it's bad, that the only way that you make money is by taking from somebody else, and that's not true at all.
I believe that our financial free capitalist society is probably broken and probably sustains and promotes the few, not the many. And I think that if we are able to use our imaginations and get back to what each individual brings in a way of passion and what they love to do, that it can create a situation to where we could reinvent the monetary structure that we have.
Why shouldn't we want to have a beautiful home to live in and a great car to drive and to have a great job so we can provide those things for ourselves and our families? From my point of view, having material things is just great. In fact, we're no longer monks and we don't have to give away everything. We can accumulate if we want, but that accumulation of material things hasn't necessarily brought anybody happiness.
People come to me naturally to talk about their finances, their investments, their retirement plan, or their loans. But really, is that what they're after? And I'd suggest that the model, in my mind, is a table. And there's one leg which is your health, there's one leg that's your relationship, third is your career, and when those three are under control, there's one vital one to finish off the ideal life. And that is having the resources, the financial resources, to have the experiences that money can bring. So really, people come and see me till these are under control. So I suggest work on those because they're the keys, and then work on this because this is the vital one that will make those three turn into magic.
We can stay a victim, or we can actually start to look at a way that we're all wealth creators, that we're all able to be prosperous, that we're all able to be part of a shift that's going on.
Over the last 20 or 30 years, people have become acutely aware that they need to actually protect and look after themselves in their retirement. People are living longer, where our life expectancies are much longer than they have been in past generations.
Our ancestors developed communities of people, and they looked for things in nature that could represent the trust of the community. Originally it was salt. That's why the word salary means to be worth your salt. because salt would preserve food, it would clear up infections, people wouldn't get sick if they had enough salt in their bodies. Eventually they settled on gold because they realized that gold, the more you fired it, the purer it became and the more valuable it became. They realized that gold always existed where water was or once was. That's why when they built the buildings to store the gold in, they called them the banks, after the banks of the river, where the currency flowed and would deposit the nuggets of gold. And so the language of money almost sounds like the language of water, because they believed that trust in the community, which is what gold represented, would make you grow and not wilt and suffer and die, just like a plant being watered. And so that's why we float loans. That's why there were liquid assets, frozen assets, capital drains, flood the market. All the language of money is the language of water, because it represented what happens in a community of people that have trust amongst themselves, or even within a family. It's time that we get back to this idea of trust, and especially trusting ourselves in what it is that we dream and what we imagine for ourselves. That's what's going to cause the free enterprise system to be able to advance itself. We've lost that part of it. We no longer trust ourselves.
At any stage in your life, you can change what you're doing. In fact, this is a secret, the biggest misconception people have about their past is that it affects their future. And it doesn't. In fact, it only makes more stuff possible.
In relation to investing, it's just the same as any other skill or attribute. You've got to find out as much as you possibly can. You've got to read, you've got to study, you've got to really take an interest in what you're doing, and you've got to work with people who are knowledgeable, but people who can actually work on your side of the table rather than just working with people who are wanting to sell you something.
So what are the attributes of a proper advisor who can help you through this storm? One is you need to find someone who's a financial mentor or coach, who's working for you, not someone else, not the product providers, the investment providers. I think it's also important that they've done some investing themselves and they've made some money. Also, I think they need to be objective and be a resource for information. You don't need someone who's out to promote fund A or B. You need someone who's more of a strategy-based person. But I also think you need to find someone who you can trust and rely on. And don't be scared of paying them for that help, because their money that they charge will be worth 10 times that.
What are the words you use about your relationship with money? Is there enough, or can't you afford it? If you start asking better questions, in which way could you afford it? In one of the things that you're co-creating all of your dreams, co-creating all of the things that you would like to have in your life. One of the areas that I start with people in their wealth creation is to look at the way that they have their current relationship with money, and then perhaps shifting it to a way that they can have a friendship with money.
We've got to help teach our kids about the struggle. We've got to give our children the ability to have the sense of pride and the sense of achievement that they've achieved something for themselves. We need to actually make sure that our schools and our universities and our colleges are teaching people about the basics and the fundamentals about respecting money, about respecting debt and not letting debt control us.